Hello. You already know that I'm Zelda Lockhart, and I'm a registered Expressive Arts Consultant and Educator.
Dude, you're a what?
A registered Expressive Arts Consultant and Educator. And so I use the art forms like writing and the plot that we create when we tell stories to help us to grow and change, using story as a way to do that. Also, because I recognize this as the system, nature is the system, and capitalism is a superimposed system, then I also use nature to help people to get down to their authentic selves, and I always combine the two, nature and story. And I really like working with Black women and any populations of people who have been most impacted by the white superiority lie, which is where we get capitalism from.
I don't mean to be rude, but like, what's the point? I mean, I don't get it.
Well, the point is that not everybody is able to access who they feel like they are and what they know about how to grow and change themselves through talk therapy, for instance. Sometimes we need other modes that are more indigenous to what we already know. It's the modalities of how we tell stories, or the modality of how it is that we are connected to nature. Like it or not, you're going to live or die, and in between you're going to do all kinds of things that are going to impact other existences. So it's working with all of those modalities to be able to have it so that there are groups of people that don't have to go through the sort of capitalistic modes of therapy that maybe they can't even afford, so they can afford them in terms of their time and their energy, but they can't afford them in terms of the ways that they've been prohibited from having that one commodity, which is the dollar. So it's a way for everybody to have access to all that is, because all that is within them, and they can access that through art and through nature. So it's just using those modalities, that intermodal interdependency. That's what it is.
I mean, can you break that down? I mean, intermodal, what? Disciplinary or something? I'm not even sure what you said. It was just like inter something. Like, what do you do with all that? I mean, how does that work, have anything to do with what you're saying? I'm not sure.
So you can think of interdependent as those frogs that just jumped in the water, that luckily were able to get out of the way before we could see them or eat them, as being dependent upon those mosquitoes that are caught in that spider web, and that spider web being part of the reason that it is that they can eat, even though that spider is just eating its own food, not really giving a damn about these frogs. So you can think of interdependent that way, and you can think of intermodal as like what I'm saying to you now, is these multiple ways to tell you the same thing. So it's a lot of languages through which I can communicate with you. So through nature, through stories, and it's also multiple ways that you can communicate with me through your own story, and by telling what it is that you have experienced in this life and leaving it as your thumbprint, the expression of that for other people. And in terms of, like, who is it for, or what's the point? I mean, there are all of these ways in society that we have gotten away from, and pretty far away from being able to communicate with each other and treat each other, and even treat our own selves in ways that are healthy and nurturing. I have to just stop talking for a minute. There's a frog that is having a really great time here. But there are all of these ways that we've gotten away from that. And so, you know, when we have very primary ways that have always been true for us, you know, different kinds of art, you know, painting, telling our stories, and being in nature and observing and learning and growing from what nature has to offer. When we have all of that on our side, then I can go to a corporate office and help them resolve their dilemmas around how is it that they will treat each other better and resolve some of the dilemmas that they're having that are just simply human dilemmas. I can help a family to be able to do that, and I can help a person to be able to grapple with the obstacles that they're having around social traumas, trauma from their childhood and their family, to help them to be able to live really beautiful, connected lives. So that's what I mean by intermodal and interdependent. You just kind of erase those big words and just think about our most primary ways of being, and how if we go home to that using art and nature, then we have everything we need.
I think I get that a little bit better. I mean, it's like a therapist. I mean, you could just say therapist. Or is it not like a therapist? You know, like a therapist who uses art, like an expressive art therapist? Because I've heard of that before. I mean, is it that?
I'm glad you've heard of that before, because that means that you have taken the language that I have spoken, this type of healing work, and this kind of change work, and this kind of transformation work, and this kind of evolutionary work, and you've translated it into your own understanding. And that's great. I mean, you may not get it, you may get it, but the beautiful thing is that you could always try and take the journey of utilizing it as a way to see if you can make change with yourself or with other people that you're in relationship with, and it'll work or it won't. There you go. As I knock this spider off my arm.
That's actually pretty cool. I mean, I totally get it. When you explain it like that, I totally get it. I mean, you know, like, how'd you even get into that? I mean, what was like your inspiration to just do this work? Because I'm feeling that, you know, like, where'd it come from for you?
I could tell you more, but I think what's way more interesting is that it's hot out here. I noticed that. I recognize that I'm hot. I'm hearing these birds, which is beautiful. And I'm also tired and ready to go home. That's all part of my story right now. That's connected to the story of how things have always been. So, check out my website and see if there are things that you notice that makes some kind of connection to you. If so, hit me up. If not, that's cool too.